Rahul Gandhi's comments on India and India's democracy in the United Kingdom led to the adjourning of both houses of parliament today. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. The Congress leader's comments on a trip to the United Kingdom continue to create a political controversy. Today, the BJP's top leaders, the government's ministers, in fact, led the charge on the floor of the House, asking Rahul Gandhi to apologize. Some BJP leaders even went so far as to suggest that Rahul Gandhi had been seditious. Rajnath Singh led the charge, saying that Mr. Gandhi, who likened the RSS to the Muslim Brotherhood while speaking in a series of events outside India, had insulted the country and must apologize. The Congress said that all of this was a non issue and it was designed to distract from the Adani-Hindenburg report. Did Rahul Gandhi score an own goal with the comments he made outside India? Let's introduce our special guests on the program today as we deconstruct those comments and their political impact. Joining us from London today is Professor Mukulika Banerjee. She was one of the interlocutors for one of Mr. Gandhi's conversations. She's otherwise, of course, a professor at the London School of Economics. It's good to see you on the program. Also joining us is Yashwant Deshmukh, who, of course, leads a Sea Voter, one of the country's foremost political analysts and psephologists. Always good to have Yashwant on the program. Tehseen Poonawalla is with us. Mr. Poonawalla, of course, is a Congress supporter, a die-hard optimist when it comes to the Gandhi family, but has sometimes cautioned the Congress about ceding the grounds of nationalism to the BJP. Is that what Rahul Gandhi has done this time? We'll ask him in a moment from now. And also joining us from the BJP is its senior leader, Gopal Krishna Agarwal, who's, of course, a national spokesperson and leader of the party. Always good to have you with us, Gopalji. Thank you very much. Before we get the ball rolling, I just want to play out what Rajnath Singh said, an excerpt of his speech on the floor of the House that will help frame our conversation. Listen in.
श्री राहुल गांधी जो इसी सदन के सांसद हैं, राहुल गांधी ने लंदन में जाकर भारत को बदनाम करने की कोशिश की है और कहा है कि भारत में लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था पूरी तरह से तहस-नहस हो रही है और विदेशी ताकतों को आकर यहां पर भारत के लोकतंत्र को बचाना चाहिए। कि भारत की गरिमा पर, भारत की प्रतिष्ठा पर उन्होंने गहरी चोट पहुंचाने की कोशिश की है। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आपसे यह मांग करता हूं कि पूरे सदन के द्वारा उनके इस व्यवहार को कंडेम किया जाना चाहिए और उनको ये आपके द्वारा निर्देश दिया जाना चाहिए कि संसद के फोरम पर आकर वह क्षमा याचना करें। अध्यक्ष महोदय, मैं आपसे अनुरोध करना चाहता हूं।
So demanding an apology on the floor of the House from Rahul Gandhi, Rajnath Singh ने कहा कि भारत की और सदन की गरिमा को ठेस पहुंचा है। गोपाल जी, मैं आपसे शुरू करती हूँ। Some people would argue that whether you agree, disagree, whether Rahul Gandhi was politically naive to make these comments outside India or legitimate, भारत की गरिमा बहुत बड़ी चीज है। भारत एक बहुत बड़ा देश है, एक सुपर पावर है, एक इमर्जिंग ग्लोबल पावर है। Are we so delicate as to be disturbed by a few comments by one of our politicians? Why does the BJP feel so strongly about what's happened that it's accusing Rahul Gandhi of insulting India? Isn't India too big to be insulted?
Barkha ji, I would appreciate the way you have opened this discussion. What you said, India is a superpower. It is respected all over the world. We cannot be hurt by anybody's individual comment. So this is a positive statement. And what we are talking about Rahul Gandhi is his intention. He will not be able to. It is not that once Rahul Gandhi has given the statement that there is no democracy in India, now the democracy goes off. It is the intention and what he is doing to harm India's interest. Because he is a person who is leading the opposition party. He is one of the senior most leader of the opposition party. He has a strong duty to defend, because of his position, to defend India's interest at global platforms. If he is not doing that interest, he is not an individual, but he is occupying a position of importance which matters, and he is trying to undermine India. And this is not the first time that he is doing. He has been doing it several times, whether it is the surgical strike or issues with China, etc. He can at all criticize BJP. He is within his right to criticize the Prime Minister. He can do it because he is opposing it. But if he is criticizing the Election Commission, he is criticizing the court, Supreme Court, he is criticizing the democratic institutions, Parliament, So that is undermining the institution.
Can I ask you
Is
one thing? Yeah, can I ask you one thing before I open this up? Is the issue with his comments, or is the issue that his comments were made on foreign soil?
it is important. It is because there are two aspects of it. His undermining Indian institution, whether domestically or outside, is bad, one thing. And it is worse that he is doing it at a foreign soil. And at the same time, he is asking US and UK that you are the defender of democracy and your silence is very much astonishing. This is clear cut intention of asking them to intervene in our democratic process. This is not acceptable at all. Even
Okay.
a citizen is also not expected to do this kind of thing. One thing, undermining the institution. Second thing, it is doing it the international forum platforms, and he is doing it as a leader of the opposition, one of the strong leaders of the opposition. And third is asking international countries to intervene to restore
So,
democracy in
so
India.
Rahul
These
Gandhi
are
was asked,
quite
yes, sorry. You made your point. I just want to play out a Rahul Gandhi response since we've played out the defense minister. Mr. Gandhi was asked by journalists while he was speaking to the UK Journalists Association about the allegation that India has been insulted abroad. This is what he said.
There's nothing defaming India in my Cambridge lecture. Last I recall, the Prime Minister going abroad and announcing that there's been nothing done in 60 years of independence, 70 years of independence. I remember him saying that, there's a lost decade of 10 years. There's unlimited corruption in India. I remember him saying them abroad. These were not things he said in India. These were things he said abroad. Right? So I have never defamed my country. I'm not interested in it. I will never do it. The BJP like to twist what I say. That's fine, and the media likes to sort of play it up. I mean, it gives you TRPs and all. But the fact of the matter is, the person who defames India when he goes abroad is the Prime Minister of India.
So, two completely different perspectives on the same issue. I want to bring in Tehseen, and then I'll come to Yashwant and Mukulika. Tehseen, I come to you because one of the things you've often said is that you don't agree with those around the Gandhis. You believe they're too left of center. They're missing the pulse of the people. They're missing the center where most Indians reside. And do you believe, irrespective of where you come in on what Mr. Gandhi said, that it was a mistake to make those comments outside India? Everybody's extremely mindful about how they represent India when they travel abroad. The Americans, for example, will not talk domestic politics when they travel outside of their borders. What do you think, Tehseen?
So, Barkha, this answer is slightly a little nuanced as it may be. First, I laugh at the hypocrisy of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And as Mr. Gandhi rightly articulated in the interview, is the most honorable Prime Minister, as Prime Minister, who said some of the things that as a constitutional head of our country should not have been said. For example, he said that none of us were proud of being Indians prior to 2014. He said that he's cleaning the kachra of 70 years. So it's a Prime Minister who said all these statements. So I don't think that the BJP has any moral right or locus to speak on this issue. The reason they are attacking Mr. Gandhi in Parliament is simply because they don't want to discuss price rise, inflation, falling economy, and none of the other issues. Now, what is it that the substance of what Mr. Gandhi said in Cambridge, where we have one of the interlocutors, they will tell you in detail. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot have one position in India and another position abroad. For example, Barkha, I have joined you on your show on the Mojo Live from abroad. And this show, when it's telecasted, somebody in London will watch it, somebody in
but it's an
East
Indian,
Africa
but it's an Indian platform. You may choose, and I've seen you do it before. If you were being, let's say, if you were at a conference in Italy, you may choose to say, I don't want to discuss politics. I'm outside of my country. You may choose to have that response.
Yeah, but Mr. Gandhi was particularly invited as a leader of India to discuss political situations. So I think in that particular context, that's fine. He was not bad-mouthing India. He's not bad-mouthed India. Could the choice of words have been different? Surely. Did he badmouth India? Absolutely not. Did he commit treason or sedition, as some from the Bharatiya Janata Party said? No. He spoke what is his line. And again, the one line that the BJP keeps manipulating on his particular statement about foreign interference. He never asked for foreign interference at no point. Mr. Gandhi was speaking about the raids on BBC, and the response to the British government was related to raids on the BBC. in context to that. You can't take something out of context and call the son and grandson of a martyr and a traitor. That's unbecoming of the BJP. Most important, I just think today, all of us must take a step back and reflect. Mr. Gandhi, for whatever he's worth, is a senior leader in the opposition. When he makes a speech in parliament for over 50 minutes, if 40 minutes of that speech is expunged and the prime minister's response to the leader in an opposition is, why is your surname ABC and not XYZ? And that speech is not expunged. It speaks a lot about parliamentary democracy. Today, those who are offended, just one line more, just one line more. I have to get the others. Just one line more. I just want one line more. I just want one line more. Today, when you talk about pride in parliamentary democracy, which we all had in parliament as an institution, Barkha, I ask you as somebody who's covered parliament, or Yashwant, when Sushma ji was alive, late Sushma ji, Arun ji, Manmohan Singh ji was grilled. There would be a question-answer session between them. When have you seen the Prime Minister answering question? He comes to Parliament, does his man ki baat, uses it as a rubber stamp and goes away. It is our duty, our fundamental duty to call out our Prime Minister because we care deeply about India.
Okay. Now I want to bring in the others and we'll come back to Gopal ji. I'm sure he'll have responses to what you said. Yashwant, first you've tracked the Bharat Jodo Yatra extensively at Sea Voter. You've seen him, Rahul Gandhi, being able to, the word you used was repair some lost ground, and the next big test is coming up in Karnataka. Do you believe that this is an unnecessary controversy, that if you were Mr. Gandhi thinking of your political sort of next moves, like I said, as a politician, it isn't just the content of what you say, but also the strategy or the tactics that are driving it. Do you believe it's been an own goal, or do you believe that Mr. Gandhi has gained a kind of confidence and assurance after this yatra, and that he will be heard and taken more seriously, whether he speaks at home or abroad? Which one is it?
3 quick points. I mean, I will not take much time. But point number 1, gaining from the Bharat Jodo Yatra and trying to becoming the center stage of the Indian political opposition space. That was the idea, and that idea he's still working on, and it's pretty much delivering. I mean, let me be upfront. I mean, I don't think that Rahul Gandhi has been discussed so much in the center stage in the last few months than in the last 4 years, or for that matter, even 9 years in that way. So yes, this this yatra and post yatra, whatever he is doing or saying and any controversy around it would be most welcome from Rahul Gandhi's camp, because it is kind of catapulting him or strengthening or reinforcing him as the opposition leader from India to watch out for. Number 1. Number 2, जितना राहुल गांधी जी को जरूरत है कि वो सेंटर स्टेज में रहें, उससे ज्यादा बीजेपी को जरूरत है कि वो सेंटर स्टेज में रहें. And it's very, very important for BJP to keep him in the center stage, because if he is not in the center stage, the BJP campaign falls apart. I mean, let's understand this.
Why do you say that?
It's simply because to aim at something unknown, in that way, as a prime ministerial candidate, candidature of Mamta or Kejriwal or the KCR, or for that matter, anybody from the opposition camp, that is more difficult to the BJP rather than keeping the campaign around persona, politics, dynasty, history, whichever way you look at it. To keep it around Rahul Gandhi. It suits them. Okay. To Rahul Gandhi, it suits them to become the pole position, because obviously he lost the ratings a lot and he repaired. And of course, it is important for the Congress for him to do well. Third, very crisp and my personal individual observation on yes, it has suited him to take it back on where he belonged. He still remains the most important person in the opposition camp. But something tells me that, common men on the street, barring the voters who are diehard anti-BJP voters, the swing voter or the middle of the ground voters might not enjoy or like or approve of what he said on foreign soil. So sometimes what Tehseen said, I totally agree. While BJP doesn't have a right to give moral gyan on this one to anybody, that's another thing. But many a times when Tehseen said the people who are around him and ideating to him or giving ideas on what to say and what not to say, that is something which should bother the Congress vicious.
I think you make a very interesting point that basically those who will be standing up to applaud Mr. Gandhi for these comments are people who already have that view of the government. And would he have lost some ground he gained with those who somewhat stand in the middle, who are undecided? Let me take that to Mukulika and then bring in Rahul Easwar after that. Mukulika, you were one of the interlocutors at one of the conversations that Mr. Gandhi held, and there were several of them, and you heard him in his own words. I think at one of the forums he was asked, "Are you asking for outside help?" And he actually clearly said that the solution has to come from within India. I don't remember which event it was, but he said that. But I think Yashwant makes an interesting point. Tactically speaking, Mr. Gandhi has a big election coming up in 2024. He's traveled all across India with one eye on repairing his own reputation and the reputation of his party. Could he have avoided this? Could he have been in London and simply said, "I am not here to discuss domestic politics outside of my country"?
Barkha, in a world that was hermetically sealed off countries, yes, perhaps that was possible. It's just that sitting in London, I write about Indian democracy all the time. I know exactly what is going on a daily basis because that's how news flows. So not speaking about it doesn't mean that people won't hear about it. People know about this. In fact, there were 4 public interactions in London that Rahul Gandhi did. I was present at 3 of them, right? And one of them, the one in Parliament, wasn't live streamed. All the others are available for people to view. At one level, I'm really flummoxed at this controversy because what is being attributed to Rahul Gandhi simply wasn't said. I just don't see what the offensive remarks were. And I'd like some clarity on that because, like you said, it was at the Chatham House event in the evening on Monday where he was asked specifically by an NRI citizen of India saying, "What can we do?" And he said, "No, the solution has to come from within." What he did, in fact, say, which is the clip that has been endlessly produced on Twitter, is, in fact, a very different statement, which is a much more interesting statement to unpack to my mind. He said, democracy in India is a public good. It's in the world's interest that it is preserved, that it is kept alive, because India is 3 times the size of America, it is 3 times the size of Europe, and we must therefore pay attention to what is happening there. At no point did he ask for foreign intervention. As we said, I did not hear him say that once. In fact, people felt he could have gone further, which he didn't. He seemed to be very careful about what he was saying. And it's true, I think, exactly as Gopalji said at the beginning, his worry, what people said to me, I talked to a lot of people afterwards. I'm an anthropologist, so I'm much more interested in what ordinary people think about politicians. And what people said, in fact, was that there was a concern about what was happening to institutions or how they were being used in India against dissidents of any sort.
So you believe that his remarks have been misrepresented on social media and therefore by the BJP?
Well, I think the clip that has been tweeted, in fact, is a clip of about 40 to 50 seconds where he says democracy in India is an international public good and that we should all be concerned about preserving it. Now, that at no point is a criticism of the BJP, of Modi, or indeed of asking for foreign interference. It is saying this is everybody's problem. It's not just India's problem.
I think we have that clip on democracy, and if we have time later in the program, we'll play it out. I just want Gopalji to come in briefly because so much has been said about the BJP here, and I'll bring in Rahul right after that. Gopal Krishna Agarwal, please do go ahead. You've heard the arguments and the counter arguments. Yashwant believes tactical error, but other than that, we shouldn't be calling fellow citizens. I stand for no political party, but do you think we use the word seditious, anti-national far too easily? We should at least take each other's patriotism as a given and then disagree after.
Barkha, we have to understand that at no point Rahul Gandhi is discussing Indian politics. He is undermining democratic institutions in India. And this is not an isolation cases. I have said in my opening remark, this is not an isolation cases. And if Rahul Gandhi is not important, let us not discuss them. It is not the issue. He is important for Indian politics. whether the Congress says that his remarks should not be discussed or BJP should not criticize Rahul Gandhi's remarks. We are not saying that he has no right to criticize BJP or criticize the Prime Minister, etc. But what the problem is that he is criticizing the institution. If he says that there is democracy is at loss, so democracy is not there in Uttar Pradesh, but democracy is there in Himachal Pradesh. Democracy is not there in the national. The mindset which Rahul Gandhi and Congress is working is that they are not accepting the mandate that the people has given to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Okay.
That is the problem. This is a dynastic mindset that they are working along. The problem with Rahul Gandhi and his dynastic mindset is they think themselves that they alone are defenders of democracy. Has he criticized the emergency? Has he criticized the the way Kerala government is functioning? Has he criticized the
I think Tehseen is wanting to interject. Yes, I think those are legitimate questions. And Tehseen briefly, and then Rahul. Rahul, sorry. Tehseen.
I'm extremely grateful to Gopalji for bringing up these points. Yes, Rahul Gandhi has very specifically, on multiple occasions, including the Congress party, issued regrets for the emergency. Now, if your justification today on Barkha Dutt's show, which is seen globally, including somebody doing it from London, which makes it a global world, is that just because the Congress brought an emergency, we as the BJP have a right to have that same mentality, I can only feel sorry for the Bharatiya Janata Party. But no, he has apologized, offered regrets, and he also fights the left in Kerala. And he also fights the left in Kerala.
Can we have Gopalji's mic up? Yeah.
But Tehseen, if you are saying that it is reaction, BJP has no right to react on Rahul Gandhi, so we can also say that Congress is not. This is an unending process. You have to analyze Rahul Gandhi's statement. We are discussing Rahul Gandhi's statement as mindset.
As a student of politics, my interest is this, that when this noise is settled, will it matter? Will it be one more week of noise in Parliament? Will the swing voter care? As Yashwant suggests, maybe they don't really like this. Rahul Easwar, do you want to come in on Rahul Gandhi? Go ahead, Rahul Easwar.
Yeah, two submissions, Barkhaji. When Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli is playing in full form, no bowler will give them a leg side full toss. See, what usually Rahul Gandhi ji does is, giving them a leg side full toss. What Manishankar ji earlier did in Pakistan was give them a no ball, which is just high. They can easily, swing it for six. The point is, I would like to contrast it to Arvind Kejriwal ji, who is more intelligent. After winning the Punjab elections, Arvind Kejriwal ji said, Modi ji, hame blessings do, give us blessings so that we can rule well. I'm absolutely sure Arvind Kejriwal ji might have laughed inside his heart after winning Delhi and Punjab, saying that maine Modi ji ko hara diya. But he was very intelligent to cater to a middle class Hindu vote bank, which says, see, Arvind Kejriwal has a good point. See, anyway, minorities, they are going to be more or sure for a left of center party like Congress. So who is Rahul Gandhi in effect trying to convince? Especially being from Kerala, Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra was a success. It was seen as a very positive image maker for him. He really connected well with the audience, and all over India, there is a strong middle class connect, especially to the Gandhi family, especially every Indian connected. My father was a huge fan of Buddha and Rajiv Gandhi. That's the reason why he named me Rahul. So in one sense, I owe my name also partially to Sri Rahul Gandhi. So there is a huge connect to Gandhi family, and there is a huge respect. Even,
but I think you raise a very interesting point. That has he offered a political opportunity to the BJP on a platter? I was going to go to Yashwant, but
if you can just add one more thing. This is the reason why Congress and Rahul Gandhi ji, even though he's a very straight and good-hearted person, needs to have the intelligence or cleverness of Arvind Kejriwal. See, Arvind Kejriwal has, we all know that he doesn't want Lakshmi Devi in the currency note, but he was carefully enough to play to a middle of the road or a centrist or a Hindu middle class vote bank.
Let me put that to Mukulika, because I remember in asking Arvind Kejriwal what makes Arvind Kejriwal today. What are the words you use to define yourself? And he said two things in Hindi. He said, "मैं कट्टर ईमानदार हूँ और मैं कट्टर देशभक्त हूँ." Now, I'm not concerned with who agrees, who doesn't agree. I think Rahul Easwar's point is a smart one, that the positioning to not cede 1 inch of the nationalism space to the right wing is what Arvind Kejriwal has tried to do. Has Rahul Gandhi faltered on that score? Has he handed a kind of opportunity to the BJP, is what Rahul Easwar suggests. Mukulika and then Yashwant.
I'll tell you how he came across Barkha in these interactions and what people said afterwards. One is that certainly the image of somebody who was an infantilized pappu simply did not match up to his language and what he was talking about. The second thing on the nationalist issue, I think there is a huge distinction between being a nationalist and being a patriot. And I think talking to British MPs who were present there were academics, British MPs, journalists. It was in a committee room in Parliament. It wasn't in the House of Commons, as people have been, it's in the Palace of Westminster, but there were lots of people present there. I think the sense was that this is somebody who was genuinely worried about his country, as a patriot would, and to not worry about the institutions of democracy being manipulated by the ruling government. Institutions are different from political parties. And if those institutions are being manipulated, then democracy in danger is the message that I dare say British MPs heard very loud and clear. And anyone who was a patriot, as that lady at Chatham House, whose question has gone viral, people have heard that, was saying, I'm concerned, I'm dejected about the state of the country. And it was a question that she posed to Rahul Gandhi, thinking that he would recognize what she was discussing. So I think he came out as a patriot rather than a nationalist.
Well, of course, everything in politics and public life is interpretative, and often we see things through the prism of what we already believe. And Yashwant, that's the point you've been trying to make, that there will be people who will see it as Gopal ji does, there will be people who will see it as Mukulika does, but then there will be a whole bunch of other people who don't identify with one or the other party or one or the other ideology. How might they see it? At one hand, this sort of, noise could be just that noise. It'll go away with the next headline. On the other hand, the BJP gets to, and Mukulika is right, of course, constitutional patriotism and nationalism are different, but in politics, that complexity may be lost. Yashwant.
Well, I think both the points are absolutely bang on, and that there lies the answer, Barkha. It can be an academic discussion of a fine difference between nationalism and patriotism, but a huge majority of the people on the ground do not differentiate the two. For them, the Rashtravad or Deshbhakti, ये दोनों एक साथ चलते हैं. For and the problem here is that in this discussion, people who are sympathetic to Rahul Gandhi, what he is saying, or those who are raising concern, are the same set of the people who are already concerned and are unlikely to vote for the BJP. So the key thing in terms of electoral prospects, is that whether or not these stands, these campaigns are going to convert the middle of the ground voter towards the Congress in any way. And that is where the electoral viability of all the campaigns run. And to take the leap from Rahul Ishwaran's analogy, I get it, full toss or not. The issue was for the last 1 year, who would be the strike bowler of the opposition who would be given the ball in 20th last over? So obviously we are clear, this is the bowler who is going to have the last over with him. That issue is settled. BJP probably is happy with that because it's a known bowler on a known pitch. It's something which you will bowl at the precise full toss on the leg side. They know where it is coming from. BJP would not like to face a rookie new guy who would do an off spin or a leg spin. They don't know which way it is coming from to face in the last over. So yes, I understand Rahul Gandhi's proposition of like that. It's important for him and the Congress to put him in the center stage. But one simple thing which I am unable to understand even at this point of time, Barkha, is that the narrative, and it's very easy. I understand that people around Rahul Gandhi do blame it on the media, that no matter what he says, the narrative is taken in a different direction. I understand that, but at the same time, I genuinely believe, यार वो बंदा दिल से बहुत अच्छा होगा, लेकिन उसके आसपास के लोग मुझे अंदर से पता नहीं क्यों लगता है वो हिंदुस्तान की नब्ज को नहीं समझते. Tehseen might disagree with me, but that's what I feel. Because plenty of the times I listen to things and I'm like, how the common man is going. And I'm not talking about the right-wing trolls. I'm not talking about the BJP voters. I'm just thinking about how a person on the ground is going to react to that.
I think there's a valid question because Mukulika, you will bring through it your years of sort of being an anthropologist and a sort of researcher. But I think the point being made by Yashwant and others is that may not be how a kind of undecided voter sees it. Rahul Easwar, quickly, and then I want to go to Gopalji and Tehseen. Rahul Easwar, yeah, Tehseen, give me a second. Rahul Easwar, yeah. Unmute yourself, Rahul Easwar. Yeah.
Just one submission. If you have a Shane ball to ball the last over, obviously any captain will give it to him. You will give it to Shashi Tharoor. But if you are insisting on a Stuart Muggle to bowl the last over, then there will definitely be challenges. So you have to be intelligent with it. See, I have a huge positive admirer of the Gandhi family. I really like Rahul Gandhi as a person. But politics is about a competitive match spirit too. See, you for example, choice of words really matter, and you cannot give such loose balls, especially going to an election year is a given. I hope they will understand.
Can I just get Gopalji and Tehseen? Sorry, Mukulika, I'll come to you after that, and we do have to start taking last comments. Gopalji, what about the Congress's allegation? Let's talk about that also. There were other things to talk about in Parliament. There is an Adani-Hindenburg report. There is a Supreme Court monitored committee, right? There are issues that are more pressing than what Mr. Gandhi said or did not say. Why is it worth adjourning Parliament over this issue? Why aren't we talking about other things?
Barkha ji, I would like to mention 2-3 points briefly. One thing is that it's Rahul Gandhi's perception and Congress perception that there is no genuine democracy in India. If we all agree that there is a democratic, there is a deluge of democratic institution, or there is a problem in democracy, then it's a different thing. But I don't think there is a loss of democracy in India, one thing. So his perception or statement is quite out of the whatever the general perception is. Second point that I would like to underline is, if we do not oppose Rahul Gandhi, then are we accepting as a party or as a government? Then it can be only two things. We are accepting his statement that there is a loss of democracy.
No, I'm saying India. Disagree. Call him out and move on.
Finish. We can move on, but it is the thing is that it is the way he can also apologize and move on. What is the problem? If he want to discuss other important issues in the Parliament, he can apologize, say it was, even if there is a wrong. And the third point is, there was a question in his own interview also, where he said that you take lesson from your mother and your grandfather, who always used to avoid discussing Indian issues, and they were never denigrate India's institution or anything. So what is the perception? We are very clear. It is not the BJP alone that we are talking about. The people sitting there, and his comment, if we had not opposed so vehemently, next day or from that day, every international newspaper from different, they would have carried that the Indian Democratic opposition leader says that the democracy is not there in India, the democracy is at a loss.
I'm just smiling because
the last point, just briefly, last point, is we are building a perception narrative globally. India is at a crux of a situation in Amrit Kal where world is looking towards India, and we have carefully built that narration of a strong India, economical power India, which is going to lead the world. So at that point of time, if you are hurting that narrative, what you are doing, you are hurting Indian interests. These are the points that I want to make.
Okay, I just want to bring in Tehseen because I was also reminded of Indira Gandhi has been mentioned in the context of the emergency. But let's also remind our viewers that Indira Gandhi in the 1970s, if you look up the newspaper front pages from that time, often spoke about foreign powers trying to undermine India, people who were collaborating with these foreign powers to undermine India. And many people believe that many people have drawn parallels between Mrs. Gandhi and the Prime Minister, students of politics. So my question is very blunt, Tehseen. Could there be a craftiness of political positioning that Rahul Gandhi has missed? I'm not right now going into the content of what he said, but is there an absent political craft here?
Yeah, to that I have to concede. You have to be crafty. I think John F. Kennedy's coach once told John F. Kennedy, and he was not the best or the most articulate speaker before he became the John F. Kennedy, right? He said, it's not what you see, it's how you see it. That's important. I mean, I can sit here on your show and talk absolute nonsense, but with these hand gestures and looking at you and smiling, and most of you will think, oh, he's so eloquent, which is what a lot of the ministers do, but it's how you say it. And that's the most important thing. So that's, I think, point number one, which Mr. Gandhi, I do believe, must bring it in, and he must have a better team to coach him. Even on the other answer of his, which went very viral with regards to what should be his independent foreign policy, I personally thought, and I was telling this to Dr. Tharoor, etc., in a group, that we need to have our responses slightly more crisper so that, as Rahul Ishwar rightly put it, the common man understands it. Because what he said was absolutely right about what India's foreign policy should be about, reflecting India's domestic ambition. But the way everybody on Twitter exploded about it was uncalled for. So it should be slightly more simpler. I get it. And I'm not putting down people. I think Indian voters are very, very crafty, and I actually look up to them. But I just have one point with the Bharatiya Janata Party. You see, I agree with Yashwant that they keep attacking Mr. Gandhi because they want it to be a Modi versus Mr. Gandhi. And recently in my city of Pune, where the BJP lost its bastion for over 30 years, the candidate did not once name Mr. Gandhi, the Congress candidate. Incidentally, I had introduced him to a lot of people, and then he never named. So, Congress wins when you don't make it Modi. So what I just want to tell the BJP is, look, at the end of the day, there are things, if you want to oppose Mr. Gandhi, do it. But by harming somebody by saying that he's anti-national, that's not true. He spoke about what this country requires, and it requires a mature government to understand and recorrect. Prime Minister Narasimha Rao sent Atalji, Salman Khurshid and Farooq Abdullah to represent India in the United Nations. When did Prime Minister Modi last call the leaders of the opposition to explain situations to them? I remember Rajnath Singh, when there was the land swapping happening when the UPA was in power. Barkha, you'd remember it. It didn't happen, and later on Prime Minister Modi did it. He asked for the IB chief in the middle of the night, and the IB chief was sent to brief Rajnath Ji and Sushma Swaraji. When was the last time you reached out to the opposition? You guys get away by switching off mics. I'm repeating it. 50-minute speech, you expand his speech for 40 minutes, and the Prime Minister's response was on his surname. Is that strengthening democracy? You may say it's Amrit Kal, it's actually Amrit Khyal. You all are in a Khyal that this is Amrit Kal. It's not Amrit Kal. Stop thinking Parliament as a rubber stamp.
But in real terms, Tehseen, what helps the BJP right now politically, I'm making a political point, is the divided opposition. The fact is that the Congress, in two different cases, Manish Sisodia and Kavita, both linked to the Delhi liquor scam, have actually been on the same side as the BJP. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of the opposition jumping up here to bat for Mr. Gandhi on this particular issue. So everything in the end comes down to political management and managing narratives. I do have to start taking last comments. Mukulika, you go first, then Rahul Ishwar, and then I'll come to the others. Mukulika, go ahead. Can we unmute Mukulika?
2 points in conclusion. One is that it's true that what we say as academics is very different from what voters will see. And frankly, this controversy, we are going to be talking about something else by tomorrow. It's going to be the jobs, the lack of jobs. It's going to be inflation, ultimately, that voters will be concerned about, not what somebody may or may not have said abroad. Having said that, of course, somehow that this is, if the Congress really wants to give the impression, as Rahul Gandhi seemed to want to, that they are patriots and they care about India, the distinction between what India stands for constitutionally, as a country, culturally, has to be much better defined as opposed to what the Indian government does, which is very different. The government of India is not India. And that distinction that they're trying to get at, that messaging, has to be much better done.
Rahul Ishwar, the government and the state of India are not the same entities.
So Indira is India. What was that comment for?
Yes, of course. But I'll come to you, Gopalji. Rahul
Ishwar. See, world over, people vote in two spectrums. One is the left economic spectrum. Second is the right identity spectrum. BJP has been able to rightly invoke the right identity pride. It can be on region, religion, caste, community, so many things. World over, this is the right-wing spectrum. See, no, nobody votes. I mean, at least a huge majority of vote doesn't vote on inflation. The reality is the regional pride, language pride, these things also matter. Unfortunately, our left liberal friends have not been able to cater with it. Rahul Gandhi was trying to score that point with his Janiyudhari Brahmin, temple hopping Hindu, these kind of things. Please remember, only with a balance of right and left, you will be able to win elections.
Sorry, I'm cutting you short. I want to bring in Gopalji for a quick last comment as he has to join another show. Gopalji, please go ahead. Yeah.
I just want to say that the politics is, if you are in politics, you have to be careful about that. If you are holding some position and you want respect from the people or respect, it's a frustration from Rahul Gandhi that the people have been continuously rejecting that is being shown in this. He has every right to criticize, and he has been doing it. He has been criticizing Modi ji. The thing is that the mindset of Congress and Rahul Gandhi and his family is that they are not accepting Modi ji's mandate of election. That's what the problem is. And we are not in agreement to what his comments are, and he should not do it at the foreign soil because it gives ammunition to international nexus of certain interest, vested interests, which are not conducive to India's interests.
So, Tehseen, very quickly, because this also happened against the backdrop of the whole George Soros comments where Mr. Soros spoke about regime change and so on, do you think, because I saw you disagreeing with Mukulika when she said it's all about the jobs, it'll come back to the jobs, you were saying no, I think. And I think you were saying that strategy isn't working for the opposition anymore.
It should work. It should work. She's right theoretically. In India, and Yashwant will bear you out with data, or I'll send you the data, every time the growth rate has fallen drastically, as it fell during Mr. Modi's regime, prime ministers have lost, whether it's been Prime Minister Indira Ji. There are a host of other factors, but this has been a major factor. Rajiv Ji, Atal Ji in his last years, and UPA. We know the last years India was called a fragile five. That has been a historic thing. So Indian voters are very sensible with regards to the economy. Please don't underestimate Indian voters. However, my feeling is, okay, and I'm speaking as a student of politics, Prime Minister Modi will survive the economic downfall despite being terrible at economy, and that's terrible for this country. The reason is not just because what Rahul is saying is only about the identity, it's because the Congress cannot cash in on how to defeat the government on the economy. It's about the money, honey. You have to defeat him on money. That's his Achilles heels. That's his weakest points. That's where he's going to go down. He's going to go down on jobs, inflation. But to go down on jobs, inflation, the attack cannot be nationalism. The attack has to be jobs. So that could have been better articulated, just allow me 20 seconds more, by Mr. Gandhi, for example, saying, look, I think India is a very strong democracy. India is a thriving country. But I think one of the things where India needs to look at it is how India can accommodate jobs for its population, for its young population, thereby contributing to world democracy. Now you're saying the same thing as John F. Kennedy said, but he's saying it differently. And now, had the BJP attacked him, they admitted there are no jobs. And their jobs are pakoda talo. So you have to be smart in your articulation. But I am no Shane Warne, and the Congress doesn't take me as a Shane Warne.
Okay, last word to Yashwant. Is this a non-issue, or has the BJP managed to trip Rahul Gandhi on all too familiar ground, which is unfortunate given that he's just come after the very hard work, which nobody can take away from him, of his yatra, of his grassroots political activism? Yashwant?
No, it's important for both of them. And I say so with full responsibility because that's an election year, and everything that he says and everything that BJP reacts or everything that Mr. Modi says and the Congress reacts, it's gonna be the thing. But I have one observation to make, Barkha, because I feel the emotive narration of Rahul Gandhi's politics for some time now is built on ideological line, us versus them. This is what we feel, this is how they feel. And when that kind of line is taken, I understand it looks nice, I mean, in that way, but their chunk is also like 45% of India, and something which he has to learn from the strategy book of his grandmother is that she carried the sentiment of the right also along with her. She never demarcated us versus them. That was her electoral viability, that even after the emergency Even after 77, the day she said that, I probably did something wrong, I'm sorry about it, and she went back and people of India voted her back in 1980. So even at that point of time, Mrs. Gandhi's own narrative or political narration was never us versus them. I think this positioning might sound very sexy to secular versus communal debate, but somewhere down the line, they have to understand that everybody who is voting for the BJP is not a communal frenzy guy, in that way. And when you are putting everything into that bracketing, you are actually pushing that middle of the ground voter towards them, not opening the door to let them come towards them.
It reminds me of the moment
you cannot win without soft Hindus. Just one line. You cannot win without
soft
Hindus.
That's a whole different debate. What is soft Hindus? What is Hinduism? What is Hindutva? Tehseen, you have one line. Everyone will have one line. Then I have to allow Mukulika one line also. So go ahead, Tehseen, one line, and then Mukulika has one line. Yes.
I've been advising the Congress, and this is one advice. Two things Mr. Gandhi should do. Not take the Honorable Prime Minister's name at all. Don't name him. Don't name him at all. Stop naming him. Not for any other reason. In politics, you don't name your enemy. Why? Political enemy. I don't mean it in a bad sense. Stop naming him. His grandmother never named her political enemies. A. B. Mr. Gandhi, when he's speaking, he must practice. If he's wearing certain amount of clothes, prior to that, wearing those clothes in practice, make eye contact, not look up, and use hand gestures very well. The reason I'm saying this is, if you hear Mr. Modi, and Mr. Modi is regarded as a very articulate speaker, which he isn't, but Mr. Modi's hand gestures are the ones that make you feel he's extremely in control. Mr. Gandhi needs to be the alpha and in control. This country loves the alpha. Indira ji was the alpha. They love the alpha. If you move away from being the alpha, and you try to say, it's us, we will do this country, electoral, that's democracy. They want an alpha. So give them an alpha. So you have to work on those things.
Okay.
That's what I feel.
Is there an alternative to this very sort of masculine way of looking at politics, Mukulika?
Not masculine. No, women can be alpha. I said Mrs. Gandhi.
No, I know.
Alpha is not a masculine thing. Alpha is not a masculine thing.
Okay, all right. I know you quoted reference Mrs. Gandhi. I did too earlier, and I do actually think
I particularly quoted her alpha so that you don't catch me off guard.
Okay, all right. Mukulika, last one line, your one line.
Thank you, Barkha. I was just going to make a different point, which is that I hope that by tomorrow, this has been a huge storm in a teacup over comments that may or may not have been made, that have been misreported, that have been misrepresented, etc. We've had our fun with it, and the analysis that's come out actually has been not bad. But really, at the end of the day, it has avoided the conversation in Parliament that all Indian citizens need to hear about a growing plutocracy, about what is happening of transfer of wealth, what is happening about Mr. Adani and people's finances through Life Insurance Corporation and so on. Those are the debates we need in Parliament. And I hope that today's distraction has caused the distraction, but we can get back to real issues tomorrow.
It will be very interesting to see what happens in Parliament tomorrow or later this week. But I was going to say that when Yashwant, you were making your point about not judging the voter, I was reminded of this one moment in Hillary Clinton's campaign when she ran for president, when she called all Trump voters basket of deplorables. And I think that comment came back to bite her, but that is a longer discussion for another time, as is Rahul Easwar's formulation on soft Hindus. But we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, Mukulika, Tehseen, Rahul Easwar, Yashwant, and earlier to Gopal, Krishna, Agarwal. And to our audience, thanks as ever for watching. See you tomorrow. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.